Come to think of it, if someone was going to make a story about the Cthulhu mythos, it has to be a crossover. I mean, Vampirella did it, Zorro did it, Ultraman did it, Batman did it, and Sherlock Holmes did it. I mentioned this in a review of Sherlock Holmes and the Awakened. Sure, I know good old Lovecraft was not the best person when it comes to his personal opinions, but I never expect so many people want to cross over with his work. I need to find out where this all started. Hold on, let me make a phone call.
Hello?
Hey, Suckleton, it's me, Alex. Listen, I need to know.
What was the first Cthulhu Mythos crossover? What was the first Cthulhu Mythos crossover?
I ain't afraid of no ghosts. I ain't afraid of no ghosts.
Suckleton, are you there?
Never! I won't go back into the containment unit! Do you understand who you're talking to? I am Suckleton! Recognize!
Okay, I think I got an answer. Yeah, the first ever crossover with the Cthulhu mythos is with the Ghostbusters in the episode of The Real Ghostbusters, Contact Call of Cthulhu. And yes, it's them. They even mention Lovecraft, and it's Cthulhu himself. Believe me, I'm actually surprised as you are as they made it out with their minds intact compared to everybody else. So it makes me wonder, how do we make a Lovecraftian Ghostbusters video game crossover? Okay, basically let's go over the premise of the episode. Basically, the Necronomicon was stolen from the New York Library and the Ghostbusters need to retrieve it or else it'll be used to contact Cthulhu. And they travel into the sewers and find the spawns of Cthulhu. And they need to analyze not only the spawns, but the cult as well. Both Egon and Peter head to Massachusetts to find an old acquaintance named Alec Derlick who specializes in Lovecraftian horror and the occult, and they find the cult of Cthulhu in the Upper East Greenwich Village. Of course, when they found it, basically it heads more into the fantasy horror as they summon one of Cthulhu's tentacles. Of course, Alice using magic basically stopped it for a second, but it's too late. They went to Coney Island to summon Cthulhu himself, and boy, they delivered hard on that. Of course, with the Ghostbusters using the knowledge of Lovecraftian horror, they basically managed to stop Cthulhu. As a Lovecraftian fan myself, I say this is one of my favorite episodes of the Ghostbusters so far. But when I want to delve into Lovecraftian horror more for a game, yes I would. But there has been some tragic changes. Okay, major changes to this fact. First off, let's make it the newer Ghostbusters. Phoebe, Trevor, Kaylee, Gary, and Lucky, and Podcast as well. With Winston, Peter, and Ray as the mentors, and also playable characters. Of course, the entire game has to feel like the 2009 game by Atari. It was amazing. Sure, the gameplay was a bit clunky as he keeps slamming the ghost back and forth, but it was worth it, and it was fun slamming the ghosts around with the proton pack just to trap them. It was fun, but here's the thing. Ghostbusters is one style. Lovecraft is his own. Basically, when it comes to the world of H.P. Lovecraft, he understands one thing, the fear of the unknown. And, well, when it comes to the Ghostbusters, they do that every single day. Every ghost they face is relatively unknown. They have to classify it on what their powers are, and let alone what they do, whether it be a class 5 full roaming vapor or a class 7 deity. What I meant by that is that Cthulhu is something else. He's an eldritch horror. Let's the story start like this. Can we add a bit of atmosphere, please? It was a dark and stormy night in Manhattan. The Natural History Museum in New York has brought in a mystical but very dangerous artifact of unknown origin, the Necronomicon Ex Mortis, and it's the only English translation of it. Soon as the guards were doing the patrols around the museum, something was lurking in the shadows, oozing slime as they approach. It was a spawn, and we cut to possibly the best intro ever. Of course, it's 2023, or 2024, depends on what you look at it. Anyway, it's 2020s, and of course, we have a big problem in Manhattan. More ghosts has been spawning out of nowhere. Ray Stan said in Ghostbusters Afterlife,
from 10 calls a week to 1 if we were lucky.
Now you're getting 20, 30 calls a week. And of course, for the first time ever, we're going to give you an open Manhattan of the 5 boroughs, and of course, a drivable Ecto-1. And believe me, just 4 Ghostbusters in the Ecto-1, whether it be the old team or the new Spangler family, isn't enough to take care of that many ghosts in Manhattan. And you're absolutely right. Luckily, Winston and Ray was having to recruit more candidates for this mission and create more vehicles, from the Ecto-2 motorcycle and sidecar, the Ecto-8 tugboat, the Ecto-3 proton turret pickup truck. Basically enough vehicles to get all these ghosts ranhangled and into these traps. They need to find out what is causing this many ghost surge. Phoebe looks at a newspaper and finds out that the Necronomicon has been stolen from the museum. Ray looks at the paper and explains to the group about the Necronomicon, and basically Egon has his suspicions about the book. Oh, of course, who can argue against Egon Spangler, especially when his suspicions are correct? Of course, the Ghostbusters head out and see what they can do before they head to the museum. Now, in this part of the game, you can explore New York and see if you can capture ghosts from phone calls, poltergeists that are around anywhere it's haunted or abandoned, or even go to the firehouse or even the aquarium base to just upgrade your gear. Of course, they arrive to the museum, and of course, they see what's going on. Of course, they investigate the area, and the last person they meet is, of course, Walter Peck, the new mayor of the city. He forbids them to ever investigate in the area as the book can be brought back, but of course, the Ghostbusters being the Ghostbusters, they investigate the area and it leads down into the sewers. Of course, once they venture into the sewer system, they find something horrific. A spawn of Cthulhu nest. Of course, the spawns begin to hatch and start attacking the Ghostbusters. They basically manage to destroy the nest and escape the sewers as fast as they possible, and they figured out there might be more nests around the city, which is optional if you want to go on several side missions. They need more data, and luckily there's one place that they can get information. New Orleans. Of course, they head to an occult museum to find out anything about the cult of Cthulhu, in which they did, and they must hurry back to Manhattan and stop any cult rituals in Manhattan. From summoning ghosts to ritualistic sacrifices, they must do whatever they can to stop it. But of course, it won't stop the final chant, as it will summon Cthulhu himself. Of course, all the Ghostbusters are accounted for, and they have to work together to take him down. Believe me, this boss fight is almost as chaotic as Stay Puft in the 2009 game. But the only difference is that every time we damage him, he'll regenerate. But eventually there is a way to stop him. Basically, strike him with bolts of lightning. Of course, we defeated him, and we revealed who is behind this cult. It was the museum curator. Of course, the day is saved, and it brings more phone calls for the Ghostbusters. Will it work? Possibly. But I'm leaving an open imagination of how it could intertwine with the Cthulhu mythos when it comes to the Ghostbusters. Until then, it's a back pocket idea. Which actually brings a question, how did Sockleton escape the containment unit? Unless... oh no.
Recognize!
Well, that explains a few things, but brings more questions. Until then, thanks for watching. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to the channel for more content.